All right, we are back once again. Kind of a special, I guess you would call it World Baseball Classic Edition episode. We mentioned this on the ATD baseball podcast we recorded yesterday that we weren't going to touch much on the WBC um, because we were going to save our thoughts for this. But yeah, we were supposed to do it last night, but Kyle had
Fucked it
some.
all up.
Yeah, so it's okay. Hey man, it happens. It's okay. So we're here now, but same cast of characters as always. Myself, Kyle, and Harrison today. Gentlemen, how are we doing?
Doing good. Excited to be
I'm
here.
doing
Talk some ball.
Uh,
absolutely. Yeah, I'm doing good, man. It was just the dude, those thunderstorms on the East Coast are no joke, man. Dude, I thought my house was gonna blow away last night. I was like, what the hell? But yeah, not too bad.
all right, well let's not let's get right into this. So of course we had the four quarterfinal matchups. When we last did this, this was before the quarterfinal matchups. So we're gonna touch on that briefly. Then we have two semifinal games that we want to discuss, and then of course we have the big championship game tonight between the U.S. and Venezuela. But before we get into that, let's kind of review how we got here. So quarterfinals happened. Geez, it feels like ages ago with some of these games that have happened recently. But we had USA beating Canada. We had Italy beating Puerto Rico. We had the Dominican beating
Korea.
Korea, and then we had Jesus, what was the last one? We had Venezuela taking down the mighty Japan, which I gotta give
Guys,
credit. I gotta give it to Kyle because he was the only one with a pair of balls to actually say, "Yeah, this team's gonna win." But um, so we'll start with the U.S. Canada game. Just my quick thoughts, and then I'll shift it over to you boys. Um, David Bednar has actually turned out to be one of the unsung heroes of this tournament. Again, can't yes, Yankee closer, there, David Bednar. Again, U.S. was very close to letting that game slip away. The Canadians had two runners on in that seventh inning, 5-3 lead. A base hit would have given them a tie, and who knows what happens after that. But David Bednar comes in, shuts it down, and the U.S. I guess I don't want to say survives, but it definitely felt like that because again, um, this U.S. lineup has not really like taken off yet. And when we get later into the discussion, maybe they're saving their best performance for tonight. But um, the U.S. kind of got away with one again. It took some big pitching, and of course, we understand they brought in Skeens, they brought in Schoolball to pitch in this tournament, but this U.S. bullpen has actually been one of the brightest, if not the brightest, parts of this team in this tournament so far. But the U.S. getting by Canada and getting themselves into the semifinal.
yeah, absolutely. This was now obviously remember this was the game that USA was coming off of. They had a lot to prove. I mean, especially with all the DeRosa talk, everything else. But you know what? These past two games, and obviously we'll get into that that DR game semifinals. But against Canada, they took care of business. Yeah, some choppy baseball in between, but they look good. They came out, they did what they were supposed to, and they moved on. So good for Team US. And yeah, Melo, you hit it right on the head. That bullpen, man, they've really they've locked it down the last couple of days. Garrett Whitlock, David Bednar, Mason Miller's been an absolute dog out of the back end of that bullpen. So these guys just stepping up to the moment, and yeah, good for them, man. And they took care of business against Canada.
Yeah, I mean, you guys hit it all on the head. I think obviously the bullpen's been a huge piece of this. I think Logan Webb has pitched phenomenal this tournament. That's kind of gone a little bit under the radar as well. But
Yeah,
when the offense is lacked, and it has a lot because Team USA has left a lot of runners on, the pitching side's really stepped up. And talk about Paul Skeen's pitching amazing all tournament long. I mean, he hasn't gotten huge run support, kind of what he's used to be honest with you. But
yeah,
it wasn't like wasn't a long ball. It wasn't extra base hits for the United States and versus Canada. It was just those early runs on just putting the ball in play. So I think being able to win in that situation in that way is good. I mean, obviously you want to be able to produce a lot more run production versus just infield singles and sack fielders choices. But a win's a win, and you move on in advance, and you win. You'll take that any way you can.
Absolutely.
Yep. All right. Staying in that kind of same location in Houston, Italy continuing their success, knocking off another powerhouse in this tournament, Puerto Rico 8-6. Puerto Rico did make it interesting there at the end. I believe they had I think they had the tying run at the plate, I believe. But um, outside of the runs that they got at the end, it was a pretty convincing win for Italy. And again, um, I know can't really. I know we'll discuss what happened in the semifinal game here momentarily, but Italy just continued to be the darling of the tournament. And I know immediately once they beat the U.S., it's like, man, this is a Cinderella team. I saw a headline saying the slipper fits, because we're in the month of March with college basketball beginning here this week. So um, maybe it just wasn't a fluke. Maybe this Italian team is just really that good. And I know Puerto Rico is missing a couple of their guys, but still. And I want to give them credit as well. They could have easily. Remember, there was a point where it didn't even look like Puerto Rico was going to be in this tournament for a second with everything going on with the insurance issues. But the fact that they were able to win, they were able to get out of their pool, get to a quarterfinal against Italy. They ended up losing, obviously, but still nothing to hang your head on for this Puerto Rico team. And hopefully in 3 years when we do this again, hopefully their insurance won't be that big of an issue. But this Italy team continues to ride the wave, and they were definitely the funnest team of this tournament without question.
Absolutely. I'm gonna double down on what you said, Melo. Italy looked good, man. They did this entire tournament, and it's no fault to them that that things ended up the way that they did. But Italy played with, dude. Everybody's bracket was broken immediately when Italy won that pool. I mean, nobody expected this out of Italy, and I think it truly does tell you, like, obviously we get so caught up in Major League Baseball, college baseball, things that happen in the United States. We don't understand what's going on in these other countries. And when this tournament rolls around and we see teams like Italy come in, dude, it's such a beautiful thing for the sport and just for fans in general, Italy, I mean, they took care of business exactly what I expected them to do. Puerto Rico came out to an early lead. They got hits from Castro, Maldonado, Vasquez, and then I believe it ended on that Eddie Rosario flyout. But that game was just, again, it told the story for Italy. They went in, they took care of business, and even with a little bit of adversity, they came back. They were up 3-1 at one point, and then obviously took that commanding lead before Puerto Rico came back. But it tells a story for this team, and I really do hope that the same cast of characters comes back next go around for the WBC, and this Italy team can just continue to improve. Because Harrison, I know that you saw it on Instagram. There was a video that I posted of an Italian man who never watched the sport of baseball, but you know what? When his home country's into it, it gets him into it. And I think that really does describe this tournament to a T. It was a beautiful video because for me, it grows the game even more. And it's just again, it's the Cinderella story. It's a beautiful story for Team Italy, and I hope Pascantino and the rest of those guys just continue to grow the game over in Italy because hey, the Italians showed what they can do, and with a little bit more baseball engagement over there, dude, I truly do think that they can continue this in future WBCs.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, kind of an unsung hero of this game versus Puerto Rico was Dylan DeLucia, a sixth-round pick out of Mississippi State in 2022 for the Guardians, who hasn't been up to past Double A. To be able to go on this stage and pitch and just lock things down like he did, throwing 4 shutout innings, 2-hit ball in a situation in which it was so massive for Italy. I mean, you get out to this big lead early, or not big lead, you get this lead early. And that's the thing I love about Italy is just obviously the home run celebration, but just they go toe to toe with anyone, and they just are constantly applying pressure. I think throughout this whole tournament, and they did. And it was just a dogfight with Puerto Rico, a great game. Just DeLucia just really, I think, earned himself some opportunities back in Major League Baseball with the Guardians, and was really stoked to see that, and just a lot of managerial moves at the right time, but be able to gut it out, and a huge win for Italy over Puerto Rico. And like you said, a powerhouse in Puerto Rico that's kind of a smaller side of powerhouse. It's not Dominican, it's not United States, it's not Japan, but Puerto Rico has a lot of good Major League Baseball players. Like you said, obviously some guys that aren't playing with the whole insurance issue, but just to go put Italy on the map not only, hey, like maybe, we snuck out of this pool and won it, but, to win this game in the knockout round was really impressive and just kind of showed a different type of how they won, more of a high scoring, just, dogfight back and forth. It was really cool to see.
The third quarterfinal here. This doesn't have to be long. This was a complete beatdown. The Dominican beat Korea. It hurt me as a Dodger fan seeing Ryu go out there. It was cool to see for like 5 minutes, and I'm like, oh yeah, this game actually means something. But the Dominican took care of business against Korea. They did what they were supposed to do. I always feel bad in it. We're gonna get in Japan here in a second. Imagine your Korea. You fly all the way from Japan all the way to come out here just to get your doors blown off, and you don't even play the full 9 innings. And how about Austin Wells hitting the 3-run game-winning to, obviously it wasn't a walk-off or anything. I mean, it was a walk-off, but for a mercy rule, not to put him ahead and to win the game. But the Dominican dominance continued against Korea, and again, I gotta. We're gonna talk about the semis here in a second, so I really gotta be careful how I talk about this Dominican team, because up until the semifinal game, I thought this team was unbeatable. Turns out they weren't, but we'll get into that a little bit momentarily. But nevertheless, Korea, good accomplishment by them to get out of that pool with Japan, and hopefully they can grow on this with the Dominicans. Up until 48 hours ago, were looked unstoppable, and they looked like the team to beat.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't have much on this game. I mean, it was a complete blowout. I mean, you said it perfectly. I wish I saw some more fight out of Korea. I will say that. But other than that, man, I mean, there's really not much. DR put a pounding on them and moved on just like they were supposed to. It's again, this is the one game that I don't have many notes because it just felt like a dogfight from the very beginning with DR, and they just took over. So honestly, that's all I really have. But DR did look unstoppable, and I was very scared. I'm not gonna lie. Going into that next game, the video I posted of the preview of DR and the United States, they just looked unbeatable, man. They really did, and this game was no different. So yeah, they
Yeah,
just took care.
I think it's the tone, honestly, and just the way that they didn't have to use much pitching. Christopher Sanchez went 5 scoreless innings, 2 hit, 8 Ks, 1 walk, and then Abreu comes in and closes the door. It's 2 perfect innings. It just kind of showed like, hey, okay, like not only do they have all their pitching as well as this lethal offense, but you got guys like Wells coming off the bench and mashing the ball for a homer. Like, just shows like they can win in so many different aspects and facets that it's like, all right, well, Team USA needs to play their best game, and Dominican felt like has been doing that this whole tournament. Obviously up to that semifinal game, but just DR putting on the world, just putting on display for the world how dominant they are and how good a baseball team they are, and blowing Korea out there.
And now to the final quarterfinal game, and honestly probably one of the shockers of the tournament. Team Japan, the defending champions of this tournament, goes down to Team Venezuela. Electric start to the game. You had Ronald Acuna Jr. hitting a leadoff home run. I believe it was the second pitch in, off of Yoshinobu Yamamoto, which that hurt me as a Dodger fan. I'm like, damn, I don't want to see that, man. Yeah, I know. I was thinking of Harrison. I'm like, damn, he
It
loves
felt like the
right
Walker
now.
Buehler situation all over again. And
Here we go again. Yeah, exactly. But that hurt me. I'm like, damn, I don't want to see that. And I know. Listen, Venezuela's a very good lineup. They deserve to win that game, absolutely. But just the way that game started with Acuna hitting a home run, and then Shohei coming back on a try to when Ranger Suarez tried to front door slider, friggin' Otani pounded into the bleachers and right, and that was beautiful to see. But after it felt like that Japan was gonna win this game easy, because then they got the big home run. It was 5-2, and then kind of what this Venezuela team has been doing all tournament, coming back and winning these ball games. Of course, the big home run from Wilmer Abreu to put them in front, and then Michael Garcia hitting a solo. I mean, getting hitting a home run, so that was huge. But just this Venezuela team is so fun to watch. They have so much fun playing the game. They can beat you with the long ball. They have so much speed throughout that lineup. I didn't even. I guess that's just my fault, but I didn't realize how deep their lineup was. Like when I
Yeah,
was
man.
watching, when I was
Oh yeah, yeah.
when I
Churio
was
batting
watching,
ninth.
exactly that. Like and in any other team in baseball, he's probably your leadoff hitter for most teams, but that's just how crazy deep this lineup is. And I'll say this: Shohei, it's all right, buddy. Let's get the losing out of the way now. It's okay. And um, I text Kyle this when because he was due up third in the ninth inning, and he actually ended up popping out to to end the game. I was so afraid of that 3 months ago in November on that Saturday night in Game 7 of the World Series. I'm like, damn, like the Blue Jays are gonna win this thing, and Shohei's gonna be the last out here, and it's gonna kill me all off season. But it's all right, Shohei. You can't win them all. You've done a lot of winning, MVPs, 2 World Series, a WBC in 2023. It's all right. You can't win them all. Let's get the losing out of the way now because we got to go for a three-peat this year. So I appreciate Yamamoto and Otani, putting team over countries. Like, you know what? This is nice, but let's get ready for the Dodgers. No, I'm just kidding. I'm sure they wanted it real bad. I'm just joking. And plus, Shohei really shows me that in order to be a great winner, you got to be a good loser too. And when he posted like basically his thank you message to like the fans and stuff, he congratulated Team Venezuela in his like Instagram post, and he acknowledged that hey, that's a good team over there. So great sportsmanship by Shohei, and shocked that Japan is still not in this. But I think honestly it was good for this tournament for Japan not to win just because they've already won this thing 3 times. And look, you're getting this great story with Italy, you're getting this great story with Venezuela now, but um, just an electric atmosphere. It looked loud on TV. I can only imagine what it sounded like being there. But yeah, Team Japan goes down. It hurt me, but you know what? It's fine. We got to get some fresh blood in here. So I'm very excited that this Venezuela team is kind of having their moment in the sun right now.
Yeah. First thing I want to say, Harrison, do you see the Dodger bullshit that I deal with on a daily basis, man?
Dodger bullshit.
Endless,
You
endless.
hear this? No, I'm just playing, Melo. It's all good. Yeah. So, I mean, this game was. I mean, Japan just felt like. Oh my god. Japan just felt slow off of the gate, right? Melo, is there 27 of those there?
Here we
I'm not
go.
sure if
See?
there was or
It's all
not.
right. It's okay. I can look at that and it's still shiny. Yours is all dusty and full of spiders and ants and stuff.
Fair, fair. I'll give you that. Team Japan felt sluggish in this game, right?
Yeah.
The third wave rally, they didn't capitalize. They left, I believe it was how many runners on base? I think it was five or six, something like that. 2 for 6 with runners in scoring position. That's not going to win you the game, man. And against a hungry team like Venezuela, I mean, again, Melo, you kind of hit it. This lineup was not as deep as I originally thought. Or I'm sorry, it's deeper than I originally thought. Jackson Cherio, Harrison, you made a good point. Batting ninth on this team, absolutely insane. Michael Garcia's bought into this tournament, and the rest of those guys. Obviously, you have Acuna, who's kind of the leader of that clubhouse. Um, yeah, man, dude, it's just again, Japan felt sluggish from the gate, and you kind of knew that towards like the as soon as you were getting into the later innings and things like that, you were like, is Venezuela going to pull this off? And they did, man. Props to them, and they're continuing to shine in this tournament. And obviously, we'll get into the Italy game as well. But Venezuela, what a story! If it's not for Italy, it's definitely Venezuela, man. I
Yeah,
mean, seriously,
completely agree. I
great
mean,
story.
I think for Japan, they kind of just quietly took care of business throughout, all of pool play and coming up to this point. Because when you look at, they have the third best offense or second best
Yeah,
offense in this tournament, and they're so balanced. They walk more than they strike out. They have 33 walks, 31 strikeouts. They're so balanced between hits, doubles, and home runs that they can just win in so many different ways. But they haven't won. It feels like compared to Venezuela and other teams in this like dogfight comeback situation that Venezuela feels like they kind of just pride themselves off of, and the energy just kind of matches that, comeback late in a game or big moment late in a game situation more so than Japan. And just about the deep
it's
line
great.
of Venezuela, like I don't think it's like because of anything specifically. I think it's just because like the timeliness of their hitting and in the big moments they step up at the bottom of the lineup specifically. But I mean, Shohei just I think quietly had a really obviously incredible tournament. I mean, he had
Mhm.
just as he does, just feels like it's just kind of second nature at this point. But just I think Venezuela just nailing down and put their backs against the wall after a really not good Rangers as far as start, come back and just taking care of business and moving on, just matching the energy and the vibes they have and advancing to the semifinals.
It's a great point.
And speaking of the semifinal, we'll do that now. Two games, obviously, we have our championships set. Um, we'll save the U.S. for last year because I think we all have a lot to say about that. So, we'll do the semifinal that just happened last night. Italy falling to Venezuela. So that was um, Venezuela, Italy second semifinal. This magical run ends for Italy. Um, for a second there, I was like, damn, like they're actually gonna pull this off because they had the early 2-0 lead. They did leave some runners on base, and it kind of allowed Venezuela to stay in the game. And they had that 4-run seventh inning, and once they took that lead, it was like, damn, like I don't think Italy's gonna come back here. And sure enough, they didn't. But again, they do it again. They come from behind, and now they're playing in their first ever WBC final.
Yeah, absolutely. This game was electric right off of the bat. I mean, you had Italy and Venezuela going toe to toe. There was a lot of lead changes. Um, yeah, this this matchup I was almost more excited for than USA and Dominican, to an extent, obviously, because it's again like Harrison's point. These two teams have been through bloodbaths, and they've like constantly just you know overcome adversity, being the underdog in this tournament. It was such a really cool thing, and Venezuela comes out on top, man. Good for them, and I'm excited to see them in the final.
Yeah, I like how just the storylines, obviously playing the World Baseball Classic, we talk about that a lot. I think it's super important to
Yeah.
continue to do so. Just how different these storylines are for Venezuela and Italy. And we're sitting there thinking, are we going to get a low scoring dogfight of a game, just pitching kind of chess match? Are we going to get, when's the flare going to happen? When's that big moment, that big inning going to happen? And going into it, I said, I think both teams are going to have that one big moment, that big inning, but it's like, whose is going to be bigger? And obviously,
Mhm.
it was Venezuela's in the seventh inning. I mean, when you put up that three spot late in the game to take the lead, it's like, oh, like, does Italy have it in them to come back? Like, absolutely, yes. And it's like, well, can the Venezuelan bullpen step up and take care of business? And they really did. I mean, it took four different guys. They used like eight guys out of the bullpen, seven guys out of the bullpen, as opposed to Italy, who, very interestingly enough, I mean, I know you guys are probably thinking the same thing when they went Aaron Nola to start. He said it was gut feeling that the Italy manager went with
Mhm.
Nola, went four innings, pitched phenomenal. I think he pitched great. You couldn't have asked for any better or been more pleased with that. And then you bring in Michael Lorenzen, who's like, all right, well, he was going to start the championship if we make it there. It's like the mindset at that point was we're not even in the championship. We have to get there. Whatever it takes, we'll deal with that tomorrow. That's a problem for tomorrow. And you go Lorenzen, who's been great in this tournament. And I don't dislike the move, honestly. I
No,
really
I don't
don't.
either.
I think if anything, you can say maybe you kept them in too long or whatever it is. Honestly, it's so much harder. People don't realize to if you're a starter to come out of the pen, or if you're a reliever to start. It's like two different jobs, literally two
Yep.
different jobs in corporate America. It's so hard, and just the timing, everything. It's a big mental game too. But for Lorenzen to be willing to do that, you got to give him props as well. And I love the strategy behind it because that just felt like an Italy underdog move to do, and I'm here for it. And we talk about the production, back to Italy's production, just because they had that big moment again to kind of respond to Venezuela. It seems like the majority of their production in big moments has come from the second third of their lineup, right? Like from Pascatino to Caglione to Fisher a bit, to Orazio. It's just like who's going to step up, who's going to do this time, because it's like there's going to be a moment when that situation comes, and Venezuela just shut it down. You have to give them props because they stepped up when their number was called in the bullpen. They stepped up and took care of business, and it's just like how do you quiet this Venezuelan storm of emotion, of excitement in the fan base, and just I mean, it was crazy to think when Garcia scored to take the lead in the seventh inning. I think that was the loudest infield single I've heard in my life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has to be the loudest infield single ever, right? But it's like, man, just like what did Italy have one more punch in them to respond, and they didn't. And that's just all credit to Venezuela. It's nothing of discredit to Italy. Just credit to Venezuela for closing the door and slamming it shut. And either way, we're going to get someone advancing their first World Baseball Classic championship. Obviously, it's Venezuela in this case, so kudos and props to them.
Absolutely.
And their opponent in the final will be the United States of America. They had a tremendous 2-1 victory over Team Dominican. If you would have told me going into the game that, hey, the Dominican is only going to hold the United States to 2 runs, I would have said, well, the Dominican's going to blow them out 5-2,
Yeah.
6-2, 7-2. That didn't happen. Great pitching again. David Bednar, everybody, Mason Miller. And they got 2 big knocks from Gunnar Henderson and Roman Anthony, Kyle's favorite new player now with Team USA. So it was a tremendous baseball game. I didn't expect it to be that much of a low scoring, but
yeah, I loved it, but I was surprised.
Yeah, and I'll just say this and then real quick, and then let you guys get in here. I love what Albert Pujols says. He is going to be a manager one day, if not very soon. They asked him about, of course, that final strike call to end the game against Perdomo, which was a ball. I don't know why people are arguing about it, but again, elite catching from America's catcher Will Smith. So, he sold it a little bit, but they asked him about it, and he could have easily just said, "Yeah, that was BS. That was a bad call." But he didn't do that. He said, "Hey, you know what? We had multiple chances throughout the game to add on to the lead that we had off of the Caminero home run." But so I give Pujols a lot of credit for that in a heat of the moment like that, where I'm sure he was upset like everybody else was. If you were a DR fan and didn't like that call, he rightfully called out not called out but he was basically like, hey, we had our chances throughout the game to add on and get back and tie the game, and they didn't do that. What Venezuela did yesterday is what the DR didn't do on Sunday. So. The U.S., that's a gutsy win, big bullpen game again, and if you're going to score 2 runs again, I don't think you're going to win tonight. I'm telling you that right now. But unless you just get a dominant pitching performance again, but maybe this U.S. lineup will finally break out tonight. I don't know, but the U.S. is in the final for the 3rd straight year, and we have an all-time matchup here against Venezuela.
Absolutely. And just to kind of recap this up, I already did a video on this game, so I'm going to give my really quick final thoughts. And then after that, Harrison, you can take it away. You can give your prediction for tonight's game because I want to post that on Instagram to make sure all 3 of our predictions are in. Number 1, the DR left 8 runners on base in the 2-1 loss, going 2 for 9 with runners in scoring position. Listen, that's not great. Neither was the U.S. Their offense was sluggish too. When it comes down to it, whoever lost, that was going to be the story of the game. So I understand that final ball was terrible. I get that, but it was going to happen to one of the teams, and we were going to look back on the runners in scoring position, things like that, and not capitalizing on the opportunities you had. 8 runners left on base is not going to win the game for either team. It came down to the bullpen, and USA's was better.
All right, well, I guess thanks for taking all my notes, Kyle. But no, I completely agree. And going into this game, we knew that it's either going to be a pitching duel or it's going to be a slugfest, and we don't know which one we're going to get. But we knew we're going to get a lot of runners on base opportunities, and who's going to capitalize off of those the most and score those runners on, because the United States, just as much, if probably more than Jamaican, has left so many more runners on base all tournament long. And it's like that's going to be the kryptonite, right? Whoever can produce with runners on base was going to win this game. Both of them left runners on base. Dominican left 8. United States left 6. You want to obviously limit the home runs as much as possible because solo shots aren't going to necessarily kill you. Because like you said, if you go into this thinking we're going to leave them to less than 3 runs, we have a really good shot at winning this game, right?
Yeah.
It's the home runs with runners on base that are the most deadly, and both teams did a really good job of limiting that. But obviously, Dominican just had so many opportunities with runners on base in scoring position that they didn't capitalize on. That was the biggest determiner of this game. And obviously, it's a huge piece of any game. If you have runners on scoring position that you can't knock them in, you're going to be really behind the eight ball and trying to score, right? So United States just edging out and just honestly clutching up. It was so crazy to see how down this wire this was and just how much this delivered. All the hype, all the anticipation of this game, this match with the players, all the MLB prospects and players in this game, the history, the heritage, all of it lived up to the hype, and we got an unbelievably awesome game. I think the second best game in World Baseball Classic history that I've seen. I still think Japan, United States final last World Baseball Classic was the best one we'll ever see. But I mean, Skeens goes in there, does his absolute job. You couldn't ask for anything more of him. And it's just like, all right, whose bullpen's going to be more nails the rest of the way? And obviously, USA just edging him out with Roman Anthony home run in the fourth being just the final blow and just the difference maker. I didn't think anyone thought that there wouldn't be any runs scored after that, but just so cool to see. I love a good pitching matchup and just chess match in the bullpen as a pitcher, former pitcher myself. So it was really cool to see, and just the United States edging out Dominican in an unbelievable game, except how it ended. I know Jeff Passan's raved about this endlessly, about how it was a ball. I 100% agree, and I hate that a game ends like that. I don't think it can. I don't think it should. But that's why ABS is coming into play, and I 100% guarantee that ABS is going to be in the next World Baseball Classic. You just hate for a game like this magnitude, and this much hype, anticipation to end in that facet, no matter what happens. Obviously, it helps the United States, helps us, but I want to see it end a little bit better than that.
All right, Harrison.
Oh.
Who is it tonight? Who do you got?
United States, Venezuela. I think this is going to be obviously not a 2-1 game. I think it's going to be more of like a 5-4, 5-3 game.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Melo?
6-4 Venezuela. Acuna has a big game today.
I knew he was going to pick Venezuela.
There's nothing about this U.S. offense that makes me believe they're just gonna come alive today.
I'm going 5-3 Venezuela. I just think that they're gonna have a big inning that's gonna have just they're not gonna leave as many runners on. They don't do that as much in the United States. I think the biggest kryptonite for the United States, and if they can overcome that and fix that, the United States is gonna win. But I think the bullpen for Venezuela has proven to be nails in these big moments, these big situations, just as much as the lineup's been proven to be so clutch for Venezuela with or without runners on. I think it's the difference maker tonight, and I think Venezuela wins it 5-3 of the United States.
Okay. Well, I got to ride with the home. I have to ride with the home country. I'm taking the United States 7-4 over Venezuela. I think tonight's the night their offense comes alive and they don't make the same mistakes. Now, again, to your guys' point, if they do that again, Venezuela has a very good shot at winning this. But this entire tournament, I picked the U.S. since the very beginning, and I'm going to stick with them. So 7-4 over Venezuela is what I have.
Thanks for saving the graphic.
I'll say this real quick, and then we're going to call it because I know we got to run. But it seems like the ball always finds – the big moment seems to find Judge in these big moments. And I think we're going to have that moment again tonight.
Yes, sir.
And he's going to strike out like he always does.
Oh, no. He's putting USA on his back for real tonight.
All right,
and he's going to
see
when it's needed. Absolutely.
Prove me wrong. All right. Thank you guys for listening as always. Everybody enjoy the championship game tonight, and we'll see who wins.
Just in, Jeff Pass reported Team USA will be wearing game-worn U.S. Olympic hockey sweaters to Lone Depot.
Damn right they will.
For the final.
Damn right.
All right. I like that.
For glory, baby, for glory.
Absolutely. Harrison, thank you again. It's been a pleasure. Seriously. Thank you, sir.
Anytime.
Hello. Same as always. Thank you.
Yep. Adios.
Later, guys.